Okay, so in this case, we're talking about adjustment to long-run equilibrium after an increase in demand in an increasing cost industry. So if you've already looked at the video where we're doing a constant cost industry, the beginning is this exactly the same. So I just already drew it here. Demand goes up, price goes up, all the individual firms start making more because the price is higher, and so there's more total output in the market. And that's the short run equilibrium situation. And you can see at that new output, price is greater than average cost, so firms are making a positive economic profit. And so they're happy to stay there, but in the long run, there's going to be entry of new firms because profit is greater than zero. Again, this is the same thing that happens in a constant cost industry. The story is exactly the same up to and including the punchline. Supply will increase with entry. The increase in supply will lead to an increase in price. A decrease in price. Price will keep falling until, and firms will move down their marginal cost curve until price hits minimum average cost, until profit equals zero again. Just like before. The only difference is, so supply increase, price decreases until price equals average cost, profit equals zero, until there's no more incentive to enter. It's exactly the same story. The only difference is that in the increasing cost industry, as firms are entering, driving price down, that is increasing the cost of producing for everyone. So the entire cost structure is shifting up. I'm just going to shift the average cost curve to make it not too messy here. But what's happening is, as firms are entering the industry, there's increasing demand for the inputs in the industry, and so it's making it more expensive for everybody to produce. I want to make more, or I'm making the same amount, but firms outside the industry are entering, and now they're competing for the same inputs that I'm buying. Demand for those inputs has gone up, and now we all have to pay more. So as firms are entering, my average cost is shifting up. And so as average cost moves up, so average cost is moving up as firms are entering, as price is moving down. So you can see price is falling and average cost is rising. And the same thing's going to happen as in a constant cost industry. Price is going to keep falling until price hits minimum average cost. It's just that because average cost is shifting up as firms enter, minimum average cost is now higher than it was before. So firms will enter, price will fall until price equals minimum average cost. But the point is, that doesn't take as much entry anymore. It doesn't take as much entry. Supply doesn't have to increase as much until price gets driven down to minimum average cost, because minimum average cost is higher. Or if you think about it conceptually, what's happening is, as firms are entering, they're going to enter until there's no more positive economic profit. But as firms are entering, it's getting more expensive for everyone to produce, so it doesn't take as much entry before that profit's driven to zero. So that profit goes to zero with less entry. So price falls to minimum average cost, but it doesn't go all the way down to where it was before, because minimum average cost is not where it was before. So we were here, and now we're here. In the short run, the price went up to P1. In the long run, quantity got bigger and price came down a little bit, but not all the way down to where it was. So we do have greater responsiveness in the long run than the short run. Our long run supply curve is certainly more responsive than our short run supply curve. In the short run, all the existing firms produce more, but other firms hadn't entered the industry yet. And now we get more responsiveness in the long run because more firms can enter, pushing price down, not quite to where it was because it's more expensive for everyone to produce, but pushing price down until price equals average cost, until profit equals zero. So no matter what kind of market you're in, and whether it's an increase in demand, or you could work through exactly the same thing with a decrease in demand, and it would just be the opposite, everything in the other direction. But whatever happens to demand in the market, in a perfectly competitive market, if there's positive economic profit, firms will enter until price hits minimum average cost again. If there's negative economic profit, firms will exit until price rises and hits minimum average cost again. And if it's an increasing cost industry, so average cost moves with the entry or exit of firms, the price won't go right back to where it was, but price will always This part is always true, regardless. Regardless if it's a demand increase, a demand decrease, an increase in cost industry, a constant cost industry, the punchline, the fundamental thing is the same. If there's a profit being made, a positive economic profit or a negative economic profit, firms will enter or leave the industry, causing supply to change, causing price to move until price hits minimum average cost, until profit is back to zero and there's no more incentive to enter or leave the industry.